Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex. I have some news updates from around the land of smiles for you today, this Monday, January 13th. Now, before we begin, please remember to subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. Now, today, we'll be talking about content creators getting in trouble for profiting on risque videos. Leicester City's Thai owners suing over a deadly helicopter crash. And a little later, some insights on Japan's Cuddle cafes aiming to combat loneliness in the country. But first, we're back in Thailand, as a taxi driver has slashed a passenger's face in Bangkok. That's right, a taxi driver in Bangkok's Silom district was restrained by bystanders after slashing a passenger's face during a heated argument on January 11th. The altercation left the passenger with a 10-centimeter scar, requiring 32 stitches. Quick intervention by other passengers and delivery riders prevented further harm, and police took all parties for questioning. The incident, first reported by Social Hunter 2022, has raised safety concerns among netizens with calls for stricter penalties and a review of driver regulations to protect passengers and uphold Thailand's images. Horrifying stuff. This is something I always say about people in Thailand, is that the traffic can drive people crazy, right? People being behind the wheels and in those high-stress situations can snap in an instant. So it's very important to practice a defensive personality when you're on the roads here in Thailand. Obviously, no excuse for this taxi driver snapping, pulling out a blade, and causing, it's like deformation, like a physical scar to someone's face. It's traumatizing, and it will be there for the rest of their lives. 32 stitches is no joke. So I don't know what kind of punishment this is. It's assault with a deadly weapon, obviously. Attempted murder. Like, who knows what would have happened if some good Samaritans hadn't stepped in on this incident and saved this man from further injury. But in any case, exactly the kind of story where the book needs to be thrown in order to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again in the future. All right, on to our next story. So I don't know if we got any true crime fans in the house, but we have a really crazy case that has just unfolded in Chon, Buri. Now, human skeletal remains were found in a Chon, Buri suitcase. That's right, a human skeleton found in a suitcase near Hua Yai Road in Chon, Buri on January 11th has sparked a police investigation. The suitcase, discovered by construction workers after a vehicle breakdown, contained bones believed to have been there for over 3 months, along with clothing items. Police found no blood or bodily fluid, suggesting the bones were dry when placed in the suitcase. Very weird. Forensic analysis will be conducted to identify the individual and determine the cause of death. Authorities are tracing the suitcase's origins as the investigation unfolds. Weird. Okay, so apparently this was like, all right, skeleton placed into the suitcase, but no blood, bodily fluids, or anything like that. So it was dry by the time it was put in there. I have no idea what's going on, but it's a very interesting and unusual case. And hopefully, what could it be? Like, if it's foul play, you would expect there to be some blood, because that's more of an emergency situation. People are trying to get rid of the body quickly. It was 3 months later, but a strange story. I'm curious to follow this one and see exactly what happened. We'll see if the victim can be identified in the first place, because that will go a long way to actually figuring out what motivations there could have been behind this crime. But we'll keep our eyes on this for you, because really weird. All right, on to a little bit of sexy news. Don't worry, I'm keeping my shirt on. A photographer was arrested for creating obscene content on where? You guessed it, OnlyFans. A 46-year-old photographer known as Tanakrit, or Om, was arrested in Bangkok for distributing obscene content on OnlyFans, earning over 2 million baht. The arrest followed a complaint from a model who claimed coercion and later discovered her images online. Scumbag behavior. Police seized devices containing explicit material linked to his account. Now, Tanakrit admitted to running the operation for 3 years. He faces criminal charges under Thailand's Criminal Code and Computer Crime Act. Authorities urge models and agencies to verify photographers and prioritize safety during shoots to prevent exploitation. Gross, yucky. So this guy was basically luring women in under the guise of modeling, taking their pictures potentially in nude situations for, probably for private use or for scouting use or something like that. But then instead turning around and profiting off of their material without being told explicitly what it is being used for. Not only is that illegal here in Thailand. It is completely unethical and just really scummy behavior on his part. So fortunately, this girl spoke up. Authorities were able to step in, arrest this man, and we will see what charges will be following. But lesson learned, everybody. Yeah, just if you're doing something illegal, it also wouldn't hurt to maybe stay ethical while you're doing it, because yeah, in this case, the crime did not end up paying. We're on to our next story, which is about, well, we were talking a little bit of European football earlier. Unfortunately, this story goes back a few years and involves a deadly incident. Leicester City's Thai owners are suing over a helicopter crash. The family of late Leicester City owner Vishai has filed a $2.15 billion lawsuit against Italian helicopter maker Leonardo SPA over the 2018 crash that killed Vishai and 4 others. The claim alleges a critical design flaw in the AW169 helicopter's tail rotor, identified as the crash's cause in a 2023 UK investigation. Despite regulatory compliance, the family argues Leonardo failed to implement or disclose a crucial design modification that could have prevented the tragedy. Vishai's son, Ayuwat, called the lawsuit a step toward accountability and improved safety for global helicopter operators. Yeah, I think something obviously went wrong. And these are high-profile individuals. Not the first time we've heard about helicopter crashes in recent years with very important or high-profile people. So it's made me wonder, is this a good way to get around? It certainly seems to have a worse track record than other forms of transportation in terms of getting people safely from point A to point B. We'll see. Whatever billion dollars is a lot, and for any sort of company that could be bankrupting. It could be career ending for the people in charge over there. This story has been unfolding for more than 5 years, so we will see exactly how this lawsuit plays out, if the family will receive justice in this civil case, and what will happen to the company in the future. Anyways, hopefully brings a little bit of peace to the family in the end. All right. On to our next story. So, economic news. We're down in Phuket. I don't know how people are going to feel about this, but apparently Phuket is lifting an 80-meter building restriction. That's pretty freaking tall. The Thai cabinet has lifted Phuket's 80-meter building restriction, now allowing single structure developments up to 140 meters above sea level in Zone 6. This change benefits high-altitude landowners but excludes coastal areas, the Nakhon Range and Phuket Town. New regulations require pre-2017 land titles, single structures under 6 meters high, and at least 70% green space. Safety concerns like landslides and flooding necessitate environmental impact assessments. Land values above 80 meters have surged, attracting luxury developments. Experts warn of environmental risks and urge strict enforcement to balance growth and sustainability. All right, so this isn't like 80 meters from where the ground starts. It's 80 meters above sea level. Now it's up to 140 meters. That's still pretty high, and opens up a lot of development opportunities for people that are higher up on the mountains. And of course, something we talk about every single year, landslides, which are always a problem too. So this seems risky. Obviously, money talks here in Thailand, and there's going to be a lot of high-end developers that are very interested in taking advantage of this new policy. But what will be the environmental impact? What will be the impact on, the safety of the people, who, especially ones that are further down the hill when these landslides happen, and all of a sudden there's a whole lot more building coming down at you when that can occur. So not to fearmonger, but it's very important that the safety regulations are strictly adhered to, as this seems like a little bit of a riskier behavior for the people living down in Phuket. Now, on to our last story in Thailand. We have some weather news here. Everything is cool. I'm enjoying it a little bit, but how long will it last? Well, Thailand is facing a temperature drop and heavy rains. So Thailand's meteorological department warns of a temperature drop from January 12th to 13th, with northern and northeastern regions cooling by 1 to 3 degrees Celsius and Bangkok by 1 to 2 degrees. A strong high-pressure system from China is driving the cooler weather and stronger winds. The south faces heavy rain and high sea waves reaching 2 to 4 meters in the Gulf of Thailand and 2 to 3 meters in the Andaman Sea. Mariners are advised to avoid sailing in stormy areas, and residents should prepare for cooler weather and fire hazards. Updates are available on the TMD website and hotline. I don't know. Look, I'm going to enjoy the cool weather while it lasts. But people in Thailand, let me know. Are you enjoying this cooling off, or do you miss the warm weather? This is a bit unusual for us here in Thailand. I'm used to, I think last year we got about like a day that felt like this, but it's lasting a bit longer this year. Climate change, global warming, I don't know what you want to call it. But for me, I'm just going to not look a gift horse in the mouth and enjoy the cooler weather while it lasts. All right, guys, that'll do it for our Thailand section of the news. Well, sort of. Our first ASEAN Now section will have us crossing borders from Thailand and into China, as I have some crazy news to share with you about, well, the Uyghurs situation. If anybody is unfamiliar with Uyghurs in China, they are allegedly the persecuted minority that lives in the Xinjiang region of China, Muslim minority that have allegedly been placed into concentration camps up there. Now, Uyghurs in Thailand are in fear of deportation to China. A group of 43 Uyghur men detained in Thailand for over a decade faces possible deportation to China, sparking fears of persecution, imprisonment, or death. The detainees, held under harsh conditions, refused to sign voluntary deportation papers, recalling the forced repatriation of 109 Uyghurs in 2015. Activists and family members urge intervention, citing international law protecting against deportation to countries where torture is likely. Discussions reportedly align with Thailand-China diplomatic anniversaries, with concerns over muted global backlash. Despite asylum applications, access by the UNHCR remains blocked, leaving detainees in limbo as calls for alternative solutions grow louder. This is a tough story for me. Obviously I lived in China for a long time, and this is something where China will say, what are you talking about, right? There's nothing going on over there. Xinjiang's a beautiful place. This is something that China has done and in the past many times, especially in regions like Tibet, Xinjiang. This is going to get killed on the TikTok algorithm. But yeah, moving tons of Chinese people into a certain region that is traditionally populated with ethnic minorities so that the place becomes ethnically Chinese. This is not the only place we've seen it. We've seen it with Russia and parts of the Ukraine, Crimea, that kind of thing. It's a tried and true strategy. Obviously, American colonialism. We've done it for our own continent. So, yes, this is a little bit scary, though, because these people are trying to escape. They've been accused of being jihadists by Chinese authorities. I'm not sure how that's possible since they've been in detention for 10 years already. But yes, an interesting case. We'll see how it develops in the coming months. But Thailand has been known to deport dissenters back to their home countries to face severe punishments. We'll see if it continues that trend. Moving on, it's not the only controversies coming out of China, as protests have erupted in China after a weird and controversial student's death. So, violent protests erupted in Shanxi, China, after the death of a teenage student named Dang at Pucheng Vocational Technical School on January 2nd. Authorities ruled his death an accident, but allegations of a cover-up have spread on social media, fueled by claims of deleted phone photos and signs of a struggle. Protesters clashed with riot police, throwing objects and smashing glass, while police responded with force. The incident has revived fears of unrest following China's 2022 white paper protests. Human rights groups and Dang's families reject the official account, calling for transparency. Okay, so the reason why this is causing such a stir up in China is that this is not the first incident of mysterious deaths in Chinese universities. People have been, it's been alleged that they've been killing themselves. They've been there's been accidents and things like that. But because of the lack of transparency that obviously not only the Chinese government is known for, but many Chinese institutions are known for, because it's a face-saving culture. They'd rather save face than actually admit what went wrong. It's a big problem in many parts of Asia, but especially in China, especially as I've experienced it. But if you're a family and you want answers for what the hell happened to your child, I can't blame them. And now the community itself is in uproar because this is not the first time something like this has happened over there. And with the way things are trending, it doesn't seem like it'll be the last. So the community wants answers. We'll see if they are able to uncover any, or if, like many protests in China, this will just be cracked down on and eventually swept under the rug. Time will tell. Hopefully, we'll hear more news on that in the future. All right. On to other countries where we have more controversy coming out of South Korea. Apparently, the fatal crash, well, its recorders are missing the final minutes, so that leaves a lot of mystery as to what actually happened to the tragedy. The South Korean Transport Ministry revealed that flight data and cockpit voice recorders from the Jeju air crash on December 29th stopped recording 4 minutes before impact. The crash, which occurred at Muan International Airport, killed 179 people, making it the deadliest air accident on Korean soil. Investigators are analyzing why the recorders failed, with former experts suggesting a total power loss. Key questions include the role of potential bird strikes, weather conditions, and why the Boeing 737-800's landing gear wasn't deployed during the crash landing. The recorders are now being examined by U.S. safety regulators. I don't get it. I thought the whole point of the black box was that it can survive the crash. It will always be recording. And in this case, it seems that the crucial timing, right, the 4 minutes leading up to the crash, didn't record anything. Seems fishy to me. Obviously, this is a horrific tragedy, and people want to know answers in order to be able to find out what exactly went wrong to ensure this never happens again. Doesn't seem like we're getting them, though. So exactly who's to blame for this loss? Should there be battery backups on these black boxes? I don't understand it at all. But hopefully, with analysts coming from other countries like the United States, we'll be able to get some answers, because obviously there is an incentive for a company like Jeju Airlines to sort of not be as forthcoming, but at the same time, you would like to think that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Weird stuff. We'll try to follow that one as well. All right. Enough sad stuff for the day. We have one last story for you that is fun or weird or creepy. It depends on how you want to look at it. So, Japan, guess what? They have cuddle cafes. They've initiated a lot of these cuddle cafes in order to combat, well, you guessed it, loneliness. Japan's cuddle cafes provide companionship to combat loneliness, allowing customers to hug or gaze at strangers for fees starting at about 1,000 yen or $6 US, with strict social norms and increasing disinterest in relationships. 45% of women and 25% of men aged 16 to 24 avoid sexual contact. Many young Japanese struggle with intimacy. Tokyo's Soinea Cafe charges 3,000 yen, or about $19 US, for a 20-minute nap, or 50,000 yuan, about $320 US, for an overnight stay, offering services like lap rests and comforting conversations. Critics warn these cafes may deepen social isolation, but supporters find solace in the brief emotional connection. Such businesses reflect Japan's growing demand for unique emotional support. I don't know. Would you like to frequent one of these? Feels like one of those cat cafes, except the cats are human beings. I don't know how to feel about this. Does this qualify as? It's not sex work. They're not having sex. There are strict rules involved to keep things over the clothes and cute. But at the same time, is this something that can actually help with loneliness, or is this something that's further deepening the social arrested development that so many young Japanese seem to be plagued with? If this is an option, then the normal avenues of relationship building seem less attractive. I don't know. You be the judge. For me, I think this kind of stuff, I'm very laissez-faire and libertarian. I think people should be able to do what they want to do, and especially if they're paying for a service. At the end of the day, though, is it a healthy thing for society? I'm not so sure. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Yeah, weird. Yeah, thank you for joining us today on our Monday edition of Good Morning Thailand. You can always find more stories throughout the day on thetiger.com, where we keep updated articles going throughout the day. Also, you can head over to ASEANnow.com, where you can sign up and join Thailand's largest expat forum and continue the conversation. Please do remember to like and subscribe to the channel as well, as it helps us out a lot. Now, I'll see you all tomorrow, and for now, let me get into the comments.